Is the stock market about to crash? So, we're going to talk about the SPY and the four biggest companies that the SPY is composed of and see where this might be headed from here. So, this is the S&P, this is the year it's had, right? Since bottoming in October 2023, this has been on just a massive run up in the past 2 years, not just 1 year. So, finally showing a little bit of weakness. Has it topped? And there's compelling arguments to both sides. One thing that stands out is notably the first week of trading when it closes is a good indication if the rest of the year will close bearish or bullish. And this week, as you know, closed massively bearish. And the S&P, the four biggest companies in the S&P, the three largest companies in the world, Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, and Amazon, that composes about 23% of the S&P. So let's take this step by step. First, let's look at the S&P's chart. Right, this is the daily chart. Finally closed above that, closed below that long-term uptrend. This has been an uptrend going for over a year, right? Closed below it for the first time. It wicked below it earlier, but it hasn't closed below it until now. And this is massively significant if you are bearish on the stock or for the bearish standpoint on it. If it can't get back above that trend line, if it rejects anywhere near it, it shows that there is a strong likelihood that there is a lot more downside. This is the next support that I see, and this is where it's sitting right now. This is the weekly time frame, right? It's sitting on top of the 20 and the EMA right there at 580, 579. If it breaks under, this could go one of two ways this week. This can break clean under here, and you can see it fill that gap that it left. You can see it better on the daily. You can see that gap that it left when it moved up from like 567 all the way up into the 580s, mid 580s. If you know anything about gaps get filled 95% of the time on these stocks. Gaps are those gaps, exactly what they are, just big gaps that are left when the price moves up or down in a fast fashion. So what I'm leaning towards is SPY filling that gap to the downside all the way down to 570, maybe 567. And that would take this weekly candle under those EMAs and MAs. Or it could bounce where it's at and start heading back towards. I would see strong resistance at around 584, 585. But when you look at the shorter time frames, even mid time frame like the hour, this chart still looks bad. If it takes out that low on the hourly, this is going to fill that gap, and it gives relevance to what I'm saying to the downside. And even looking at the 15, the last two 15-minute closes of the day on Friday were a little bit confused. Two doji candles at the end. Same thing. We're going to see a lot when futures open up tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern time and how that 24-hour market moves. But SPY can definitely do some damage to the downside coming up soon. So guys, stay tuned for part 2. We'll break down those four other companies, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Nvidia, and we'll also talk about the VIX because all those have a high impact on what happens next. I don't want to make this video too long, so look out for part 2. We'll talk later, guys. Don't do dumb shit. Love you. Bye.